Tonight on Business Live, the Bank of Ghana justifies inflation targeting framework, rejecting calls for its abolishment despite the recent criticism and May rate hitting record high of 27.6%.
The COVID happened, we've had inflation in single digits for over 24 months. And so inflation targeting framework has helped us to deliver low and stable inflation in Ghana.
We'll hear from an economist who says Ghana's structural transformation path is irrelevant without investment in the manufacturing sector.
What goes into the export basket is the problem, and so diversification is very low. Our export is basically dominated by fuel products.
Also, Ecommerce Association wants governments to consider negative impact of 1.5% e-levy tax on online businesses.
We should look at the impact on online businesses. We should look at it in terms of the employment.
You're welcome, I'm Charles Ayitey. The Bank of Ghana has justified its inflation target program, insisting it has no plans of abolishing it. This is coming at a time when the May inflation rate reached a record high of 27.6%. There are calls for the framework to be scrapped because it's not getting the desired results and has a negative impact on the cost of credit and access for businesses. Dr. Maxwell Pokuafara is first Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana.
In practicing inflation targeting since 2002, I think there is a paper that we've put together here in the bank which shows the evolution of the monetary policy regimes over time. And when you look at it, it is when the inflation targeting framework was introduced that we've been able to have low and stable inflation in Ghana and prolonged for a long period of time. Until COVID happened, we've had inflation in single digits for over 24 months. And so inflation targeting framework has helped us to deliver low and stable inflation in Ghana. Inflation targeting framework is just a framework to allow you to have a structured discussion about the different multiple causes of inflation. So it's not like a rigid system that tells you what to do. It gives you a structure around which to have a sensible discussion about the multiple causes of inflation. All the previous regimes that we had, they've all broken down. They could not deliver the low and stable inflation that we had. We've had this inflation targeting framework. It has helped us to deliver stability for a long period of time. But when you have crisis, global crisis, pandemic, Russia and Ukraine war, it questions frameworks all over the place. Doesn't mean that you should throw the framework away, but it also means that you should look at it more consistently. But that framework is a framework globally. That's what we call the forward-looking framework. Globally helping different countries to contain inflation, and that has served Ghana very well. And I think that that's a framework that we will continue to use to serve Ghana going forward. Of course, we will always look at options of reviewing and fine-tuning it, should there be evidence to continue to fine-tune it.
Finally, on the ECD, all other things being equal, when are we hoping that we will have access to it?
In fact, the pilot is ongoing. And we have different stakeholders that are participating in the pilot, including those in some rural and farming communities that are offline, looking at the offline capabilities of the ECD. And then we have banks, we have fintechs that are participating. We have delayed in launching the pilot itself, but it's already ongoing. And survey data coming from the pilot field shows that the ECD framework is working very well. Maybe within a month or so, the pilot itself will be officially announced. But we want to then wait to get data from the pilot, and if there are lessons to learn from the implementation of the pilot, then we'll take a decision as to when we'll broaden it to the entire economy. So as of now, we're going to wait to receive more data from the pilot between now and the end of the year to understand how the pilot is working, where there are glitches, where we need to tighten things. In fact, now we're looking at the system being able to process about 2,000 to 3,000 transactions within a second. Is it working on the field? If it's not working on the field, can we fine-tune it? If we open it to the entire economy, should we be able to move it from 2,000 to 3,000 transactions per second to maybe 5,000? Do we have the capacity to do that? So those are the things we will learn from the pilot. And then after that, we will then launch a proper universal ECD program opening up to the entire economy.
All of that thing being equal, all these things point to a success. Are we looking at next year if all other things being equal? these data are all pointing to a positive line?
Yes, I will hesitate a bit to put a timeline to things like this because, you know, technology and all these things are very difficult to predict. But if things go, as you said, according to plan, as we are seeing from now, between now and the end of the year, and the data is very positive, and we think that we are ready, why not? By early next year, we should be able to roll it out to the rest of the economy.
That was the first Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Maxwell Pokofari, interacting with George Riafi. Away from that, the insurance and financial services have seen a slower inflation year-on-year, recording a monthly rate of 3.1%, according to the government statistician, Professor Samuel Kobna Enim. This is the only sector among the 12 groups in the component that recorded the lowest rate of inflation. This could mean that the country's financial and insurance sector is not significantly impacted by growing inflation. Here is the government statistician explaining why.
Aggregating year-on-year inflation from the 13 divisions point of view, we saw transport recording the highest rate of inflation of 39.0%, followed by housing equipment and maintenance, 33.8%. Housing, water, electricity and gas came third, 32.3%, and food and non-alcoholic beverages, 30.1%. All these four divisions recorded inflation rates higher than the national average of 27.6%. The division that recorded the least rate of inflation for the month of May 2022 was insurance and financial services with an inflation rate of 3.1%. And it is the only division that recorded an inflation rate lower than the rolling average for the period June 2021 to May 2022. All 12 items recorded higher rates of inflation relative to the average for the period June 2021 to May 2022.
Well, the governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, has emphasized the need to have a robust payment and settlement systems under the African Continental Free Trade Area. This, he believes, will promote efficiency in regional trade as well as enhance intra-African trade and investment. Speaking at the 2022 Public Forum of the Academy of Arts and Sciences, he entreated central banks on the continent to work collectively in achieving a common goal.
This year's public forum was under the theme African Continental Free Trade Area, Challenges and Prospects. According to the governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, a common payment system is needed to promote trade activities on the continent. He reiterated the need for central banks across the region to be swift in addressing problems confronting cross-border payment systems.
Indeed, given the right policies, Africa's collective efforts at integrating existing national payment systems could enable African firms to innovate, invest, and create job opportunities. Together with digitalization, an integrated payment system would help Africa foster convergence of institutional frameworks and create a more effective regional financing ecosystem. Additionally, an integrated payment and settlement system would promote efficiency in regional trade by facilitating the smooth flow of payments, underpinning economic activity, and fostering transparency and efficiency in intra-African trade.
Associate Professor at the Economics Department of the University of Ghana, Professor Eboteksen, called for a collaboration to improve transport corridors within the continent to promote efficient production.
A cross-border infrastructure is any infrastructure that connects two or more countries, as well as national infrastructure that has significant cross-border impacts, such as ports, railways, roads, and airports. Cross-border infrastructure provides economies with greater access to regional and global markets. There is a need for countries within the sub-region to cooperate to improve transport corridors within the continent, so that they can take up the opportunities to join regional production networks and supply chains. Because when we're able to connect our firms and businesses to regional production network and supply chains, it promotes efficient production, trade competitiveness, and increases trade flows. It will therefore enable sub-Saharan African countries to narrow their development gap with their richer trading partners.
The African Continental Free Trade Area is an ambitious trade pact to form the world's largest free trade area by connecting almost 1.3 billion people across 54 African countries.
Now, Ghana's structural transformation path has been described as irrelevant without investment in the country's manufacturing sector. According to senior lecturer at the Department of Economics at the University of Ghana, Dr. Priscilla Chumesi-Bafo, an improved manufacturing sector will serve as a bedrock to other sectors and strengthen Ghana's trade competitiveness in the context of the Continental Free Trade Area. She was speaking at the World Bank launch of Ghana Trade and Competitiveness Report, of which we have more in this.
With the focus on the exportation of gold, cocoa and petroleum products, Ghana is entreated to diversify its exportation of goods. Such move, according to Dr. Priscilla Chumesi-Bafo, senior lecturer at the Economics Department of the University of Ghana, will give Ghana access to a larger market to compete under the African Continental Free Trade Area. She further explained the need to support local industries to embark on import substitution industrialization.
I believe that the report is very important and the timing is great. When you look at what the presentation they made, you see that Ghana is doing well in terms of exports, but what goes into the export baskets is the problem. And so diversification is very low. Our export is basically dominated by fuel products, gold and cocoa. And so when you look at, for example, even adding value to the cocoa that we produce, there's not a lot that is happening, and the data show that Cote d'Ivoire is certainly doing much better. So Ghana needs to concentrate on, for example, light manufacturing, agro-processing, and when we do that, consistently, as we open up to the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, it gives us the opportunity to larger markets, and then firms can take advantage of, so that we improve on the blend of things that are in the basket and also the sophistication of the things that are produced as well.
Setchuma Kobwa, the Chief Executive Officer of the Association of Ghana Industries, called for the strengthening of various value chains in the manufacturing sector in order to grow the sector. He refuted claims that trade liberalization is the bane to the country's trading regime.
Unfortunately, performance manufacturing, as we've said, is also not been that good. If you look at the last 10 years, and even the study is demonstrating that, our growth rate in manufacturing has been averaging about 4%. In terms of contribution to GDP, when you look at industry, we could be saying about 30%. But industry is even driven by the extractives as well. But the contribution of manufacturing is averaging about 11%. Clearly, we are not growing manufacturing that good. So we are not performing. Now, in terms of policies, trade liberalization, I don't think our issue has been with the fact that we have liberalized our system. It is the unfairness in it that we always complain about.
Okay.
Unfairness in it in the sense that whilst you are opening up for imports to come in, access to other markets are not that good. There's a bit of restriction on access to other markets. That's why you have this imbalance of large imports coming in and less export going out.
Over the years, there have been calls for diversification of the economy to create jobs and also avoid balance of payment deficits in the country.
Let's now turn our attention to the banking industry, because banks in Ghana wrote off a little above 760 million cedis as bad debt in the first 4 months of this year, about a 5.5% increase over the same period last year. Now, that's according to the latest monetary policy report by the Bank of Ghana, and the bad debt is made up of loan losses, depreciation, among others. Charles Nixon Yeboah has more in this report.
Despite the increase in the provision of the bad debt, the banking industry's asset quality improved year on year, evidenced by the decline in the non-performing loans ratio from 15.5% in April 2021 to 14.3% in April 2022. The decline in the non-performing loans ratio was on the back of a higher growth in the stock of loans from 7% to 25.8% during the review period. On the other hand, the stock of NPLs increased to 8.6 billion cedis in April 2022 from 7.4 billion cedis in April 2021. This represented a growth of 15.8%. The increase in the NPL stock indicates that some asset quality risks still remain within the banking sector. Meanwhile, the extension of the loan repayment moratorium by the Bank of Ghana to December 31st, 2022 is expected to provide relief to customers adversely impacted by the pandemic and help moderate the growth in non-performing loans within the banking sector.
Now, Ecommerce Association wants government to, as a matter of urgency, consider a negative impact of 1.5% e-levy tax on online businesses. We have more on this coming shortly. Do stay with Business Live.
We should look at the impact on online businesses. We should look at it in terms of the employment avenues that are being removed from the system.
And those were international summaries. Now, the Ecommerce Association of Ghana warns government to consider the negative impact of the 1.5% electronic transaction levy on the activity. Now, that's according to the association, the levy has increased the cost of doing business among its members, pushing operations in the e-commerce sector to consider relocating to other West African countries with favorable tax regimes there. There is more in this report.
Calling for more collaboration between government and stakeholders in the e-commerce sector, the association decried the Ministry of Finance's decision not to contact businesses affected by the e-levy before it was implemented. Speaking to Joy Business on the sidelines of Jumia at 10th anniversary, the Executive Director of the E-Commerce Association of Ghana, Paul Asino, appealed to government to engage members in the sector before reviewing the impact of e-levy in the mid-year budget presentation.
We should look at the impact on online businesses. We should look at it in terms of the employment avenues that are being removed from the system, because people are no longer sending money across as they used to. The Bank of Ghana has testified to it. So where are all these unemployed youth going? So yes, it's been passed, but I don't think we can just go and lie in peace thinking that that is how it's going to be. It can increase. What about that?
Meanwhile, the Chief Executive Officer of Jumia Ghana, Tolulope George Yanwa, said her outfit has achieved a lot in 10 years in the e-commerce space in Ghana.
Jumia 10 has been 10 years of an amazing journey, 10 years in Ghana. The aim of Jumia is to improve the quality of the everyday living in Ghana by leveraging on technology, right? And that's what we have been doing for the past 10 years. And have we been doing that through innovation and creating services that are of interest to people. And our services include the marketplace for consumer goods. We have an online platform as well for food and restaurants. And as well as a payment service, right? We also aim to help small businesses grow. And when we speak in terms of small businesses, as we have said, when we started 10 years ago, we had less than 100 vendors on our platform who were interested in working with us. And now we have grown that number to thousands of vendors on the platform who sees this as an opportunity to grow their business and access over thousands or millions of consumers that visit our websites every day.
Now, the number of jobs advertised in selected print and online media, which partially gauges labor demand in the economy, decreased marginally in April this year compared to the same period last year. According to the Bank of Ghana's latest monetary policy report, 2,777 job adverts were recorded as compared to 2,806 for the same period last year. Now, this indicated a marginal decline of 1% year-on-year. On a month-to-month basis, the number of job vacancies in April this year also dipped by 3.6% from the 2,882 jobs advertised in March this year. Cumulatively, over 11,000 advertised jobs were recorded for the first 4 months of this year compared to a little above 11,600 jobs advertised during the same period in 2021. Some dynamics there. Meanwhile, Business Development Coordinator of Human Resources Advisory Firm, Aldelia Ghana, Blanksin Bedu Buampons, has treated prospective job seekers to acquire some soft skills and be smart in their dealings with employers.
Is that currently companies are looking for people that can multitask. So as a job seeker, even if as you are not working now, you need to pick up some personal soft skills trainings, because we have a lot of free trainings on LinkedIn, on other platforms. So you pick it and you make yourself versatile. Don't make yourself like a one-sided person. I'm only administrative and I can't do anything else. So they need to open their scope of activities. They need to be versatile. And also, when they are going for job interviews, we all know that, we need a lot of money, we need a lot of salary to be able to cope with the current inflation rate. But we believe that the inflation rate will get better. So there should be a little bit minimal on their salary expectation. Get your legs into the company, and I'm sure that if the company see their worth based on their ability to perform a lot of activities, there might be an increase of salary for them as well. So pick up a lot of courses, pick up some soft skills courses to make you very versatile. Then when you get into the job interview, try and minimize your salary expectation as well.
And
that's what I'm saying.
Well, based on your experiences, are there any particular jobs that are seeing more recruitment, certain portfolios that companies are seeking?
Yes. It's on what we call the sales and business development part. Because, after COVID, a lot of companies went down. So they are more or less recruiting a lot of sales and business development profiles in order to bring in more inflow of revenue to help the company to grow. And trust me, a lot of companies set a lot of targets this year because they really had low revenue between the past 2 years, which is 2020 and 2021.
And of course, we have more news on myjoyonline.com. I'm Charles Ayitey. Many thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of our programs.